All right, so let's begin. We're going to start with reviewing 252. I said that people should learn it on their own, and I would just review it outside. So let's start from there. I think we're up to number 9. Basically, in number 9, it says, it's Alter Rebbe, number 9, 252.9. Number 9, it says that if the goy is making the stuff out of his own kelim, you don't have to stop him unless he's doing it publicly. You could tell him to do it right before Shabbos, no problem. You just can't tell him to do it on Shabbos. Let's say he comes into your house and he does something with his own kelim, with his own stuff for you. You don't have to stop him, because if he's using his own stuff for you, he's probably doing it in order to get something back from it. You're going to pay him or whatever. Nevertheless, Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to benefit from what he's doing for you bodily. You can't receive any bodily benefit. So, for example, if he's lighting a candle for you, he's bringing his own candle and he's lighting it for you. You don't have to stop him, but you can't use the light of that candle. I mean, nowadays we don't use candles so much, but he brings in a flashlight or whatever, a portable light. So even though you don't have to stop him because he's clearly doing it for himself, he's using his own stuff, nevertheless, if you would be allowed to benefit from it in that way, the next time you might ask him to do it.
There's no Marisai.
There's no Marisai because he's using his own stuff. Even though you could say, well, how do people know he's using his own stuff? I guess it's something that is considered that people will realize. Anyway, you're not telling him, right? He's doing it on his own, and he's using his own stuff. However, if he is using your stuff, even though you didn't tell him to, because usually, in order to use stuff that belongs to you, he needs your permission. The fact that you see him and you don't stop him is, in a way, considered like you're giving him permission. And therefore, you must stop him. There's an obligation to stop him. Okay, now we learn another case. This is in 11. Let's say he does something for you, and it's something that you can either benefit from on Shabbos or after Shabbos.
Ram is asking for the link.
Oh, Hiram is asking for the link, and Rafael says he may not be coming to the class. Let me send John the link. I forgot about that. Who else is online so far? I have no one. Oh, LeAkum is here, and Daniel is here. Invite.
Are you waiting for other people to show up right now?
No, I've already started.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm reviewing 252. I said that people should read it on their own. So I'm actually not reading it. I'm just going over the points. I'm up to 252.11. Sending Yoram a invite. Okay, so 252.11 discusses the following issue. You have a item that was made by a goy for a Jew, which the Jew can use on Shabbos. I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out. Can he use it on Shabbos or not? But it's an item that's not a one-time benefit. It's an ongoing benefit. It's not like a light that's made to use immediately, or a fire to heat, to get heated from, or or let's say hot water to use for coffee, whatever. No, he made, let's say, a pair of shoes for you. He made a pair of shoes. So the point is, he's allowed to. He's allowed to make the pair of shoes. You don't have to stop him. He did it in his own house. You didn't tell him to. He's a Kabbalah. And it so happens that he's finished on Shabbos. And he actually made them on Shabbos. You know that because he told you that, or you saw it, or whatever. So the first opinion says you're actually allowed to benefit from it on Shabbos. Why? Because he did it for himself.
If he did it in his house,
Yeah.
they're on the shoes.
No, but let's say you get them. We're going to discuss soon how you got them. Because we're going to say you cannot go to his house to pick them up, because then it's Maris Ayin. People will think you told him to do it on Shabbos. But let's say you have a go-between. You don't go to the shoemaker's house. You go to the store that buys from the shoemaker and sells to the public. So on Shabbos. Yeah. It's interesting because in Shin Chav Gimel, in 323, we see that you're allowed to actually go into a store on Shabbos as long as you don't purchase things in the usual way. Meaning to say, you can't say, sell me this. You can't say, I'll pay you for this. But you're allowed to say, I'll take this and we'll talk after Shabbos. We'll work it out after Shabbos. That sort of thing. So, I mean, if it's a Jewish store, he's not supposed to open the front door, so it shouldn't look like he's open. But if somebody needs something, he can open the back door. But if it's a non-Jewish store, it seems like the very fact you're walking in is not Maris Ayin, I guess. I mean, that's what it seems.
You don't hotel, they have these little stores next to the lobby.
Yeah.
For that, whatever. There you can just go in there, take it.
As long as you don't say, I'm going to pay you,
Yes,
you say, well, we'll work it out. We'll take care of it after Shabbos. And they know your room number. They can write it down. You don't tell them. It's okay. Even if you tell them the room number, I mean, they want it for their own thing. You're not saying the word, I'm buying, I'm paying. Those are the key words. I decided to start more or less on time just because I have, we have, I should say, a lot of ground to cover. So I'm just reviewing the end of 252, the part that I didn't actually get to last week, before we move on to 261 and 263.
Somebody over here on Shabbos was somewhat a situation with his maid.
A situation. Sounds interesting already. Yeah, go ahead.
So he said, and he was actually, he was actually telling me that normally she shows up earlier on Friday. She decided to come at 5 and do all the regular stuff. He was really concerned about Amira Nachri's situation. His wife told her, when you leave, make sure that you do everything you're supposed to. So I said, were machines involved or anything like that? He goes, no, just regular sweeping and mopping up. But he was still very concerned that there was a problem.
So, I wouldn't, I mean, sweeping is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Jew can sweep.
Mopping, sweeping.
Mopping, even though a Jew cannot mop, but maybe there are some opinions that there are some ways for a Jew to clean the floor without mopping. So if the Gentile chooses to mop, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Anything that there is a permissible way for a Jew to do, I mean, I don't know if we'll get to it, but it's questionable. But there are some opinions that there are some ways to, to clean a floor without actually mopping. So that's, toilet washing, big deal. Counters, big deal. No washing machines, though.
No machines.
No ironing.
Nothing.
But just regular washing is not a big deal.
He was concerned that his wife also told her turn off the lights before you.
That she shouldn't have said.
Right.
She could have said, I don't need the lights.
Right. Or I don't know if there was a remez or not, but we were talking
The
about
remez would be, I don't need the lights, that's all.
So one of the things that we were talking about is and I told him, remez shutting off isn't an issue. So he was saying, but I don't understand. What if I get hana by the fact that now I don't have the lights on?
You don't get any hana. You get hana at the end of the month when you don't pay the bill. And she's getting hana because she's doing her job. So that's equal, and it's not considered more hana for you than for her. When you get hana from the light immediately, and she gets hana when you pay her at the end of the week, then it's considered your direct hana, and that's a problem.
But the whole concept of shutting down, shutting off, turning off the alarm and all that, that's what he was...
What do you mean turning off the alarm?
Remember we were talking about the alarm went off, the alarm goes off, remez, can you shut off the alarm?
I don't remember talking about that. I don't remember talking about that.
If the alarm goes on, we said shutting off isn't an issue, if it's instructed properly.
In general, In general, I don't remember discussing the alarm, but in general, you're allowed to do you're allowed to do a remez for turning things off.
Under the theory of turning things off, you don't get hana from.
Correct.
He was more concerned that that's what his wife had told him.
Yeah.
But
next time.
A little bit of a shalom bias situation, he told me.
I hear you.
The need to understand that he has to show it off, but he doesn't know how. You'll have to give him instruction?
No.
Press this, no?
No.
You'll have to give him the code?
That's the same as instructions.
How's going to turn it off if he doesn't know the code?
I don't know. Who said he's allowed to turn it off? I don't know. Who said he's allowed to turn it off? Ask me a question. That's not a remez. If you're giving instructions, that's not called a remez. Okay. So 252.11 says there's two opinions. If you're allowed to benefit from something that 252.11, Reish and Beis Yud Aleph, I'm just saying it outside, not inside. If he honors, absolutely. This is just review. You're supposed to learn on your own. I said at the end of last class to learn on your own. I'm just reviewing it briefly. So the point is that just like you cannot benefit from light, heat, so too some say you cannot benefit from an item that he made for you b'kablanos. You finished making your suit, finished washing your suit, finished sewing, finished making your shoes. So this opinion says you can't benefit from that work because you're actually benefiting. Your body is benefiting. You're wearing it. Chaya. Others say no, because he didn't do it for you to wear immediately, specifically. He doesn't mind if you do, but it's not like the light. Guy turns on the light, he expects you to use it right away. The heating, the water, whatever. Here, he's doing it, and you'll use it whenever. So therefore, you're using it right away. Is your choice to use it right away. He made it for whenever, so it's not considered that he made it for you just because you chose to use it right away. That's the second opinion. L'maaseh, the Alter Rebbe says that you should be strict unless it's a shas hatzorech. Like let's say you mamish have no other shoes to wear for Shabbos. You need to go to shul or whatever. So then there is room to be lenient and allow benefiting in this case. The whole point of a remez, that's not a remez. That's not a remez. The point of a remez is that he has to figure something out. But if you're... No, that's not the point. The point is if you say, I don't need something, and he understands, oh, I'm supposed to turn it off, that's fine. But you can't say anything that is like...
No, but if you only want to turn it off, but you need a code.
Okay, so that's a problem.
You have in advance a piece of paper with your code. You'll have to give it to him?
No, I'm not masking.
It's already posted something.
I'm not masking. Now, this being said, there is a general heter, which we've mentioned in the past, that you can do a double derabanan in a case of a great need. And that you could even do directly. So maybe if the alarm is blaring, can't sleep, no peace on Shabbos, so maybe that's a great need. No, not yourself. You can have a goy do a derabanan in a case of a great need. So turning off an alarm could be only a derabanan. Okay, so according to that, if that's the case, then you'd be allowed to even tell him directly. But if it's a case that you need to do a remez, that's not a remez.
What's the source? Shabbat Hilchos?
Yep.
If you don't find someone, you do it yourself.
Do what yourself?
The alarm, something with the alarm.
What?
To turn it off.
Oh,
Just find it there.
sounds questionable to me. Sounds questionable to me.
You know, it's too value, the red ones, or sometimes become blue.
Shmir Shabbos, you mean?
Shabbos,
Shmir Shabbos Kol Chassan? I would have to see it.
Huh?
I would have to see it. I don't know. Okay, my friends. Now, another point that he brings up in number 12 here is that the whole issue about using an item made by the goy for you, no problem. The whole issue with using the item made by the goy for you is only if he made it for you specifically. But if he made it to sell to the public, and the public are a majority not Jewish, so then you can use it, no problem. Again, you can't buy it in the regular way, but you could say, I'll take these now and we'll work it out after Shabbos or something like that. So then the fact that he made them on Shabbos is not a problem, because he didn't make it for you, and he didn't make it for any Jew. We go by the majority. That's the rule. For example, if a shoemaker makes a pair of shoes, and you actually go ahead and buy it from him in a permissible way, can't say the word buy, but you say, I'll take these and I'll work it out with you on tomorrow, right? So even though he made those shoes on Shabbos, if he didn't make it for you, and he didn't make it for any Jew, but he made it to sell, and a majority of the people that buy from him are not Jewish, so that's permissible, because he didn't make it for a Jew. You're not benefiting from something he made for a Jew. Just like the general principle is, if a goy does something for a group of people, and a majority of that group is not Jewish, then even the Jews can benefit. So if there's a group of people sitting in a room, and the goy comes in and sees that it's dark, and he turns the lights on, if a majority of the people in that room are not Jewish, the Jews can benefit, because his intention in turning on the lights was for the majority. We generally follow the majority. And therefore, it's not considered he did it for a Jew. Same thing.
The majority is for going, so you're
allowed to benefit, correct.
Like the same with the boat.
Same with the boat, correct. Now, Alter Rebbe addresses a question of muktzah. What about the fact that when Shabbos came in, this was a piece of leather, and in the course of the Shabbos, the goy fashioned the leather into a shoe. So it went from being a piece of leather to being a shoe. And there is a principle in muktzah called noilad. Noilad means like something new, a new creation. Now the truth is, Alter Rebbe doesn't get into the details here, because the truth is that most poskim say noilad is mutter. And it's not muktzah. But some hold that it is muktzah. Okay. But Alter Rebbe says, even according to those that hold that it's muktzah, noilad does not apply by something that can be done by a man. By a man. Noilad applies when something is done by Hashem. It changed in a way that you didn't know it would change. Something happened, it's new. Oh, that's noilad. If it's something that can be done by a man, particularly a non-Jewish man who is allowed to do it, something that can't be done by a Jew does it, that's obviously a problem. That's a whole other problem of benefiting from something done on Shabbos. But if something can be done by a man, and it's done by a man, a non-Jewish man who's allowed to do it on Shabbos, that is not noilad, because that's expected. It's normal that a shoemaker takes leather and makes it into shoes. I mean, an egg that's born. So I'm saying it's not by a person. It's not by a person. Hashem runs the world. Sorry?
What is considered another when it comes
An egg that's born, a chick that's born, that
It could be
hatches.
anything that's created from Hashem, or it has to be specific, like
Yeah.
a fruit.
No.
No, so that's why.
A fruit doesn't change when it's on the tree or off the tree. It's forbidden for a different reason. If you could eat it, you might forget and pick another one. That's a separate issue. But I'll give you another example of noilad.
No, it's more.
Also milk.
The milk.
Milk.
More. Like a egg.
Is milk noilad? That's complicated. That's complicated. The answer is on Shabbos it is, on Yom Tov it's not.
Shabbos is Yom Tov is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bein on Yom Tov is also.
I'm talking about a bait, I'm talking about milk. I'll explain to you. On Shabbos, the animal is not food. Can't eat an animal on Shabbos, a live animal. And the milk is food.
He came by himself.
Doesn't make a difference. The milk is food. So out of something not food came food. That's noilad. That came by itself. Maybe a goy did it. A goy did it. No problem. You didn't do anything wrong, but you can't eat it because it's noilad. It came from something that's not food. It became food. On Yom Tov, a live animal is food. All you need is a shaychet and a knife, and it goes from being a live animal to being a nice piece of steak. So 1 second. So it's not noilad because it's going from being food to being food.
Let me ask you, on Shabbos, I know that I have to go chef the animal for a sick person.
Yeah.
Do I like to milk it to use the milk? I'm going to chef it anyway. So why didn't I go
I need to
Maybe
get some
the-
clarification
no?
on this because
I'm allowed to.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you can't milk it because that's a separate isser. So, why should you be allowed to milk it if a goy milks it? If after
You're
you,
going to be allowed to milk it for a sick person?
for a sick person, you can do anything you need. What's the question? But if it's already been decided you have to chef it for the sick person, so now it became food, and then you also have to milk it for the sick person, could be it's not muktzah. Could be it's not. Yes.
the clarification when it comes to it being Isser and Shabbos or Yom Tov, can you clarify that for me, please?
A live animal on Shabbos, there's no way you're going to be able to eat it on that Shabbos.
On Yom Tov it is, so that's why.
On Yom Tov, you let a shecht.
So you want to avoid that.
You don't want to avoid shechting. If you want to shecht, you're allowed to shecht. My point is that the milk that comes out of an animal on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to milk a cow on Yom Tov or Shabbos, but let's say a goy milked it. So that milk on Yom Tov is not noilad because it's coming from food or theoretical food, and it's not food. But on Shabbos, because it's coming from something that's not edible and it's becoming edible, that's an example of noilad.
That changes the status on the animal.
On the actual milk.
But it's a very similar situation because on Yom Tov, it doesn't mean that you're going to be, means that you're going to eat the animal.
You don't have to. You could.
Okay?
Exactly. So it's
on Yom
considered
Tov,
oichel.
On Shabbos, we eat the animal after.
On Shabbos, you can't.
But at the same moment that you're milking the cow is not edible the way it is.
Doesn't make a
It's going through a
difference.
process.
Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. On Yom Tov, it has the status as edible. On Shabbos, it has the status as not edible. Okay. In 252.13, we mentioned another problem in terms of getting the pair of shoes. You have this pair of shoes, and the goy made it. According to one opinion, you're allowed to get it and wear it even if he made it for you, because he made it by kablanos. You didn't tell him to. And as far as he's concerned, he doesn't care if you wear it on Shabbos or after Shabbos. He didn't make it specifically for Shabbos. So one opinion says you're allowed to wear it in that case. Others say you can only wear it if he made it to sell to the public. In any case, out there it says in 13, you're not allowed to go to his house to get it, because that's a Maris Ayin problem. Even on Yom Tov, by the way, sorry, not Yom Tov, even a Chol HaMoed, the Alter Rebbe says, you're not allowed to go to a craftsman to pick up stuff, even if you made it before Yantif, not even a Chol Hamoed, not even a minute before. You can't pick it up because of Maras Ayin, unless you need it for Yantif.
What pair of glasses? That was an example previously that somebody mentioned that they were picking up their glasses.
Actually, that's a good example. That's a good example. You can't buy it.
But you need it for Yom Tov or you need it for Shabbos.
So I'm saying what he says here is you cannot actually go into a store where they make the glasses on Shabbos Yom Tov, because that's my sign that you told them to make it. If it's a place that doesn't make it, but they get it from the factory and sell it to the public, then you're allowed.
So
Because nobody's going to say you may tell them to make it. They don't make it anyway. They get it. It comes, goes. So then you're allowed. Again, you can't use the language of buying, selling, paying. You have to use special language. But it's not forbidden to go in. But an actual craftsman, you're not allowed to go in on Shabbos or Yom Tov, even if you need it for Shabbos and Yom Tov. The thing about needing it is makes it allowed on Chol Hamoed. But on Shabbos and Yom Tov, you can't go into the craftsman's house or factory, or whatever, even if you need it. So that's an interesting chiddush.
But to restore your LeAkum? Not to his house, no, but to have a shop. To the shop your LeAkum.
To the shop that does not make them, yes. To the shop that sells to the public who doesn't make them, yes. So Yaakov asks, what is the reasonable standard for determining whether a shop owner has a majority of Jewish and non-Jewish customers? Do we go by the assumption that it's not unless they live in a religious neighborhood or by the type of business they work in? I think it just goes, unless you know otherwise, I assume it goes by the people who live in that area, majority Jews or majority not Jews. It's not about religious Jews, by the way. Jew is a Jew. So if he's in an area that is a majority Jewish, then his customers, you can assume, are majority Jewish. If he lives in a majority area that's not Jewish, you can assume that it's not Jewish, unless you know otherwise, unless you happen to know that he has mostly non-Jewish customers and mostly Jewish customers, then I guess it would go by that thing. But in general, I would assume you just go by the majority of the people in that area. Okay, my friends, with no further ado, we move on to 261 and 263. Now, 261, we're not going to learn the whole thing. 263, we're also not going to learn the whole thing. But we are going to learn the sections that have to do with Amir L'Nachri, because this is about telling a goy to do work in Bein Hashamshos, in the very beginning of Shabbos, which, as we're going to see, there is room for leniency in that matter. 261, Reish Samach Aleph. Here we go. We are going to start from the beginning, even though it starts about other matters, and it's going to come to talk about Amir L'Nachri soon. I'm going to start from the beginning anyway. Similar Samach Hazman Lakas Neres, the Shabbos Zayin say from the time to light candles on Shabbos with 7 sections.
How many minutes should be finished?
Machlokes in the Gemara.
4 minutes?
No, there was a machlokes in the Gemara if it's 3/4 of a mil, or if it's a very short time. A mil is either 24 minutes, or 18 minutes, or 22 and a half minutes, and it's 3/4 of that mil. 3/4 of either 24, which is 18, or 18, which is about 13, or 22 and a half, which is something in between. But that is for Eretz Yisrael in the spring and in the fall, when the days are equal. In the summertime, it'll be a little bit longer. In the wintertime, it'll be a little bit shorter. And then in parts of the world that are further north, it'll be longer. For the south, it could be shorter. It depends on the seasons and on the parts of the world you're in. So I did come across, they quote Reb Moshe to say that it's actually 40 minutes, 40 minutes from sunset.
40 minutes?
40 minutes. No, it's not very
So
time.
it's not between Shkia and Sotapur.
Yeah, between Shia, exactly. That is Ben Hashmashos. That's exactly Ben Hashmashos. Between Shkia and Sotapur. He wants to know how many minutes it is.
Shia, we know what it
Say Kochavim, we don't know exactly when it is because big stars, little stars, whatever. But if you know, then yes, that's exactly it.
How come 40 minutes? We never, according to Chabad, we have, let's say, minor, just, let's say, about 26 minutes, let's say.
Okay, so maybe it's 26 minutes. I don't know. Honestly,
22 minutes.
Honestly, I never went into the Alter Rebbe's Shita of how to figure out the minutes. So on the Gemara, you see it's 3/4 of a mil. But it does change according to the time and according to the country. That's all I can tell you. But on Shabbos, we do add a little bit to that time because we don't, what I'm saying, when Shabbos is out, we don't right away go and do work. We wait a little bit, we add, whatever. So, yeah. Okay.
Shabbos, you're going about almost the 40 minutes.
Just about that, yeah.
42 minutes, so like almost an hour after Shabbos.
Approximately. Okay, Savak HaSheikha. Savak and HaSheikha.
So why during the week we don't do that? So don't it be something about
No.
Ma'ariv?
Yeah, but Shabbos is much more strict than Ma'ariv. And Shabbos, you're supposed to add from the week to Shabbos. There's no mitzvah. Of course, that's why we wait until it says. But Shabbos, we add, because it's so strict, we add extra.
I might say like 40 minutes.
According to him, yeah.
According to all this money,
Maybe.
it's much less.
No, there's many different Simanim. Many different Simanim. A lot of different Simanim. To say according to all the Simanim, you have to look at all the Simanim. So there's a lot of Simanim. Okay, Savak HaSheikha, Savak and HaSheikha. If it's a doubt whether it's dark or not. This is called Bein Hashmashos. Oh, he says right here. It's the amount of time it takes to walk 3/4 of a mil plus 49 amas before the stars come out. I'm reading in 261.1. Here, the note says that we're talking about 18 minutes. I'm reading note number 3. In the above source, the Alter Rebbe explains that the duration of Bein Hashmashos should be calculated according to the concept of Shoyz Mania, seasonal hours, and thus this period would be 18 minutes only when the days and nights are equal duration. In the summer, Bein Hashmashos would be longer, and in the winter, shorter. Also, the Alter Rebbe states that in that source, this measure of time only applies to Eretz Yisrael, Babylonian lands of similar latitude. Places of more northerly southern latitudes measures longer or shorter depending on the season. Okay. So during that time, also last by malach min hatayr. You're not allowed to do malacha min hatayr. You do safek laila because it's a doubt whether it's night. It must, and if you did chayav asham taloi, person's chayav a korban. Anytime a person does a action which may be a chiyuv chatas, he's not sure. He has to bring an asham taloi. Right? Chatas is for a for sure sin that is kores if done on purpose, done by accident as a chatas. Asham is when you're not sure if you did what would be a chatas. Instead, you bring an asham talui. So it's a very serious thing. The Magen Avram adds, or maybe it's the Mishnah Berurah, I don't remember, that even if it's a doubt of Bein Hashmashos, you cannot do work. You can't say, well, it's a double doubt. Maybe the sun set, maybe it didn't. Even if it set, maybe it's night, maybe it's not. No. That's called a suffix machmas chasorin yediyah. That's a suffix due to your lack of knowledge. That does not count for a suffix. You're not sure? Go outside and look. You don't know how to look because it's cloudy, that's your problem. That's not a real suffix. That's not a proper suffix. Suffix is something you cannot figure out. Vafilu davar shein yisur b'Shabbos l'medei v'sovim also lasses gam kein bebein hashmashos. Even something that is only forbidden midrabanan, you're also not allowed to do in Bein Hashmashos. Even if you're not sure if it's Bein Hashmashos or day, here it is. Must be the Magen Avraham. It's nothing. Any doubt that comes from a lack of knowledge is not anything. Meaning to say it doesn't count as an extra doubt. You don't know. Fine, somebody knows. Just ask the right person who has the right clock, and I'll be able to tell you. Ulidvar mitzvah, for the purpose of a mitzvah, mutter lasois, ba kol davar sha'isa b'Shabbos asma b'divrei sefer. You're allowed to do anything that is also on Shabbos only midrabanan. Okay, there's a chiddush. For the sake of a mitzvah, you're allowed to do during Bein Hashamshos something that is only forbidden midrabanan. We're going to give you an example soon. Similarly, if you are pressed, nervous, or you very much need something, and it's only forbidden as a shvus, as a rabbinic violation, you're allowed to do it in Bein Hashamshos. That's correct. Exactly. Lefikach. Therefore, as we're going to see right now, mutter la'arav chatzeres Bein Hashamshos and la'eir m'void yom l'fishur nachbas v'nitzach la'eir k'dei shiyuchel l'tatel b'chatzer v'gam d'var mitzvah k'mei shbeh v'sim shesach love. You have a yard. You want to be able to carry in that yard. To be able to carry, you have to make an eruv chatzeres. That means you take a box of matzah, somebody lifts it up on behalf of all the people, all the Jews who live in the courtyard, and you say, with this eruv, we are all considered like one family, whatever the thing you say, it's in the siddur. So you forgot to say it, it's already been Hashamshos. So, first of all, it's something very important, because you want to be able to carry, you need to get your stuff from the garage, from the play, whatever. Second of all, it's also considered a mitzvah, as we're going to say, or the Alter Rebbe says in Shin Samach Vav 366, that it's a mitzvah to make an eruv chatzeres so that people shouldn't end up carrying improperly.
So the boy can continue repairing the...
We're not up to that yet. We're not up to that. Oh, an eruv?
The eruv, yeah, the eruv.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, that's a mitzvah. A boy can repair the eruv Bein Hashamshos. Bein Hashamshos. Until if it's for a private group, only during Bein Hashamshos. If it's for the whole city, you can do it even on Shabbos itself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's a mitzvah the rabbin. It's a mitzvah for the public. That's a special heter. That a goy can do even a malacha minat Torah for a mitzvah the rabbin. Mishnah Berurah says it. Rabbin is like eruv for the rabbin. Maybe even a group. Need a sefer Torah for Kriyas Torah, maybe. Okay. Another example. You need certain kalim for Shabbos. And you didn't toivel them yet. Toiveling kalim is asur for Ashkenazim on Shabbos. Right? For Sephardim, it's actually not. It's machlokes, and the Mechaber is lenient on that. But for Ashkenazim, it's also the toivel kalim on Shabbos, because it's considered like you're fixing them. But if you need them, and it's still Bein Hashamshos, you're allowed to. Okay?
If your wife is filing, you cannot use it.
No. First of all, if your wife is Sephardic and she's married to you, she should be following your halachas and your menhagim. At least in terms of being strict. If she wants to be strict, like the Sephardic Shechita Beis Yosef, that's fine. But if she wants to be lenient, she shouldn't be lenient. Shouldn't have rice on Pesach or anything. But, by the way, b'diavad, if a person did toivel on Shabbos and by mistake didn't realize, he's allowed to use it. That's a rule. Even Ashkenaz. The rule is that anything that is only asar midrabanan, if it was done by mistake, you're allowed to benefit from it.
Can you tell Sephardic guy to toivel the stuff?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a abundance, so I mean...
I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting question. He is allowed. Are you allowed to tell him? I'm not really sure.
Next week, or-
I'm not really sure. Okay. You have fruits, and you need them to eat for Shabbos. You're going to be hungry otherwise. But you didn't take off Truma and Meiser in Eretz Yisrael. And before you do that, you're not allowed to eat it. And on Shabbos, you're not allowed to take off Trumas and Meisers because you're fixing them. So on Bein Hashamshos, you're allowed to. Now, we learn something interesting. Let's say you forgot to take off challah, or your wife forgot to take off challah, and now it's Bein Hashamshos. So, following this argument, you want to say, I'm going to take off the challah now, rabbinic violation, which should be allowed on Shabbos, for the sake of being able to eat it on Shabbos. Says the Alter Rebbe, no, you cannot. Because you're allowed to eat in Chutz La'aretz without taking challah, if you're stuck, and separate challah afterwards. So therefore you can, instead of allowing you to take it off Bein Hashamshos, we'll tell you, eat it without separating challah. Make sure to leave over more than a kazayas, because you have to separate a kazayas from something. So you have to leave over more than a kazayas, and then after Shabbos, it will retroactively be okay. So that is that. Now there are two shvusim that he mentions here that you're allowed to do, not because of a special thing you need it for Shabbos, but because you're allowed. Sorry, demai is fruits or produce that may or may not have been separated. Stuff, Meiser may or may not have been separated from it. Meaning to say, you bought it from an Amoritz. He's not really reliable, but he says he separated it. So it's only D'Rabbanan. It's only D'Rabbanan that you have to separate again to be sure. So that's like it's not so, the whole thing of separating is only D'Rabbanan. And it's Bein Hashamshos. And maybe it was already separated from. You're allowed to do. Another thing you're allowed to do is lahat min chamin b'davar she'ena moisef hevel. You're allowed to insulate in something that does not add heat in Bein Hashamshos. Why? Who remembers? Harken back to many moons ago when we learned the laws of Hatmana. And we reviewed them.
Because if it adds heat, it looks like you're cooking.
No, I'm talking about if it does not add heat.
Oh, if it does not add heat, why can you do it?
Why are you allowed to do it in Bein Hashamshos?
Because it's not like cooking, because you're not adding, I think.
Well, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbos.
Well, you can replace Hatmana if you took it off.
Yes, but I'm not talking about replacing. I'm talking about putting it on for the first time.
Well, maybe you might come to put something on that would. Maybe that's the thing.
Come to put something on where?
In other words, since you don't want to do Hatmana that doesn't add hevel, because you might come to do. Because if you did that, you might think you could do Hatmana with hevel. I'm just trying to guess the possibilities.
No.
Okay. If I do one more, I'll strike out.
All right, my friends. The reason you cannot normally do Hatmana b'davar she'enoi moisef hevel. For example, you cannot take towels and blankets and wrap it around a hot pot on Shabbos. The reason for that is because you may realize that the pot is not so hot. And because you're insulating in something that does not add heat, it only maintains the heat. Exactly. You may forget and put it back in the fire in order to heat it up before you insulate it. And that's a big problem. You may make a fire. Yeah. You never heard of Jews that make fires on Shabbos, Baruch Hashem. But unfortunately, it can happen. So the point is that Bein Hashmashos, all pots in Jewish kitchens around the world are hot. Friday night, already an hour after Shabbos came in, then by that time, maybe it cooled off. And we can say maybe you'll forget and heat it up. But Bein Hashmashos, mamish, just after everybody heats up their pots right before Shabbos, so for sure it's going to be hot. So there's no reason to decree not to do atmana, because the reason doesn't apply in that case. So that's what it is. Okay, so you're allowed to do atmana on Shabbos, on Bein Hashmashos. Okay, now here's what we were trying to get at the whole time. You're allowed to tell a goy to light a candle in Bein Hashmashos for Shabbos, because that's a mitzvah. Amir l'nachri is a shvus, is a rabbinic violation. You're allowed to do a rabbinic violation in Bein Hashmashos. So you're allowed to do the rabbinic violation to tell him to make you a Shabbos candle. Yes?
The woman forgot to cut her nails. Allowed to do it, or she has to tell her boy to do it?
She cannot do it herself. She cannot do it herself. She cannot do it herself. First of all, it could be it's a Torah violation. It's a machlokes if it's a Torah violation or a rabbinic violation. Even the opinion that says that it's a rabbinic violation calls it a melacha she'ein tzorach legufa. Melacha she'ein legufa means, for those of you that weren't here when we did this last time, it means you're doing the regular melacha, and you mean to do the regular melacha, but you don't need that item that you're doing the melacha with. You're doing it for another purpose. So, for example, she's cutting her nails. Why is she cutting her nails? Not because she needs the nails. She's going to throw them out.
But you need the rest of them on your finger.
That's the other opinion. She's cutting them because she wants to have clean fingers to go to the mikveh. So some say that's a melacha she'ein tzorach legufa. You don't need the nails, so it's only d'Rabbanan. However, the Mishnah Berurah says in Shin Mem Beis that when it comes to a melacha she'ein tzorach legufa, that is a stricter type of Issa d'Rabbanan. That is not allowed in Bein Hashmashos. Because not allowed. That is so close to a d'oraisa, because you're actually doing it, and you're doing it on purpose. Only thing is that you don't need this item, you need it for something else. That's so close to a d'oraisa, it's not allowed in Bein Hashmashos. Besides the fact that some opinions say that cutting nails is also d'oraisa anyway. Okay. Sorry. Umutra lo'im, here's another chiddush. Lahadlik, Bein Hashmashos. Actually, just going back to that question, by the way, if you realize in Bein Hashmashos you can ask a goy to cut the nails, no problem. If you realize in Bein Hashmashos that she didn't cut her nails, just go to the mikveh that night. You can ask a goy to cut them for her, to give her a manicure. No problem, Bein Hashmashos. Levin?
So, but if you cannot find the guy? So she couldn't do it?
Herself, she can do it. Herself, she can do it.
But she know anything? Nothing.
No. This whole thing. Oh, B'shinu, you mean? That's a shaila.
Depends.
Are you allowed to do a melacha d'oraisa b'shinui in Bein Hashmashos? That's a shaila.
But if you're holding to the Rabbanan, you're allowed.
No. This d'Rabbanan I told you is more strict.
More strict even.
Melacha she'ein tzorach legufa is more strict.
The Raisa B'Shino is going to be a problem. But if in the Rabbanan, Bein Hashmashos B'Shino is.
I don't know. That's a question.
It's going to be like if you got allowed from the Raisa B'Shino.
I don't know if you're allowed d'oraisa b'shinui. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Lo ra'iti.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's an interesting question. The one sefer that might discuss it is the Piskei Teshuvos. Let me see 1 second. Piskei Teshuvot.
So in your time, like, so I'm looking at the Shabbos. Shabbos begins 5:30. Candlelight is 5:13.
Yep,
Shkia is 5:31. So the covering 6:07.
yep.
So between candlelighting and Shkia, the 80 minutes. So
That's not Shabbos yet.
then,
It's-
that's Shabbos.
We're going to learn about that. We're going to learn about that. Reish Samach Aleph. Hashamshos and Meisers, Hatzir, Til the Muktzah, and Riach, Kohen Hashamshos, and Lachal, Shara Lachas, Ashes, and Avon, Rishas, Lachal, Hashamshos. Shrochal. Noch hier. Oh, here it is. He says, "Ein lahater lasses bein hashmoshes melachos daraisa al dei shnaim she'asauhu oikel achar yad v'chein melachos shetzarich legufa. Agam she'yisrak rabbanan mikol makom ikar melach min haTorah melach nasu bein hashmoshes v'litzach Shabbos v'litzach hafsid mitzvah hafsid merba." Piskei Teshuvos 25, quoting the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Siman Shin Mem Tes, Siv Gimel. Alter Rebbe says it. Shin Mem Tes Gimel. Yep. Okay. So we continue and we say, Mutter Limmer Lilahadlik Bein Hashmoshes Ner Shal Yid Mrs. Avi Ve'imoy Shemach Shem Nuzar Bazeh Harizah Ketzor Agor Mush Zor Agor Bein Shem Le'asani Yeleit Tzar Le'God Bein Hashmoshes Al B'Shem B'Tzor Shabbos Klal. Okay, the Ashkenazim have a minhag. Maybe Sephardim have it too. I don't know. I know Sephardim are into candles a lot. But there is a minhag that Ashkenazim have that they light a candle on the day of a yahrzeit. And people are very particular about that. Sephardim too?
Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
Oh,
Multiple.
There you have it. There you have it. Jews light candles for yahrzeits. So the Marshal says that since people are very particular about this minhag, even though it's a minhag, it's not a mitzvah, but people are very particular about it. And if they don't do it, they're very upset. So that's called a tzarech gadol, that's called a great need. And if a person forgot to light for a yahrzeit, and it's Shabbos, and it's Bein Hashmoshes, he's allowed to tell a guy to do it. It's not a mitzvah, not a great loss. Doesn't make a difference. It's a great need. Because a person will be very upset if he doesn't do it. So that's an interesting chiddush. So too, in the case of a great financial loss, they did not decree on a shvus and bein hashmoshes. Also, I'm sorry? He's going to explain. He's going to explain right now. You're not allowed to do that even for a great mitzvah and a great loss, as will be explained in Tav Tezvav. Yadayim b'Shabbos. Leiktiru liknes kinyan for the Bein still mitzvah has and Ruba. Sheshvus zel liknes kinyan l'cham v'shar kol shvus version d'mei kabbalah v'lechem yisim and yirgim. Basically, the Alter Rebbe explains that there are some shvusim, like I mentioned earlier, there are some shvusim, rabbinic violations, that are forbidden in Bein Hashmashos. Not all of them are allowed. And one of them that's not allowed is to make a kinyan. You cannot acquire something in Bein Hashmashos. You can't do any business transactions in Bein Hashmashos, even though it's only D'Rabbanan, because you might write. But it is Isurim Mefurish B'Kabbalah. The Isur of doing business is expressly stated in the Tanakh. When it talks about Ezra and Nehemiah, they came back to Yerushalayim, they saw the markets were open on Shabbos. Made a whole thing, you can't do it, they closed the gates, nobody in, nobody out, whatever. They put a stop to it.
So how they allowed before for the Jew to take the shoes? Taking the shoes is not for counting the pocket. They eventually didn't pay anything.
As long as you don't do it in a clear kinyan, you do it with the shinoi, saying, you don't say you're going to pay.
Taking the shoes and take them is part of it.
Yeah, but if you don't say it, it's like that itself is a shinoi. That makes a shinoi in the kinyan. It's not true. What do you mean? To make an Eruv, you have to say something. It's an Eruv. You make an Eruv.
Can you give gifts like Shabbos?
The kinyan is problematic. Kinyan is problematic.
Like a sefer.
I don't know. Generally, you can't give a gift on Shabbos.
A lot of times they're running like gifts. The bar mitzvah boy, sefer. Right?
What I've seen them do is that they say, I'm not giving it to you yet because it's Shabbos, but whatever, something like
You have
that.
to make the point that you're gonna have to Shabbos.
Right, or I'm lending it to you now. You can use it for Shabbos. I'm not giving it to you till after Shabbos, something like that.
But you have to say that. You have to mention it like that.
I've heard them say that, yeah.
So somebody comes as a guest on Shabbos, in there, we're going to give you a bottle of wine.
That's allowed. That's allowed,
Why?
actually.
Because
It's just like Soyer Shabbos.
so you have to open the bottle, you can't just keep it closed.
No, he's giving to you Soyer Shabbos.
So there's no-
Whether you use it or not is up to you.
Yeah.
With an air, yeah. With an air.
Showing they didn't come on time.
Hopefully not.
So what's going to be, let's say, the rough gift to the bar mitzvah boy, a set. So you can just take the set and start learning from it.
Yeah, that's what.
So
I'm not sure. I hear that they say that they're giving it for after Shabbos. I'm not sure. Not sure. What's the difference? Learning and eating. Why is learning worse than eating? I don't know. Okay.
you should actually physically hand it to the boy.
What I've seen them do is that they do give it, but they say
Take it
that
out.
it's gonna be yours after Shabbos. I'm giving it to you now to use, but it'll be yours after Shabbos. Something like that. I don't know exactly.
Okay?
I don't know.
Okay to say this one?
That's what people do. I don't know.
What people do, it doesn't make it right.
I don't know.
What would the Rav do?
I don't know.
in a situation?
I would learn about it before I would know. Okay, let's continue. If you already made it, it's good enough, even if you shouldn't have made it. Okay, my friends. Now the
So it's very
answer.
tricky, like, in a way it said don't do it, but if you do it, it's kosher.
Yeah.
So basically, like what all issue by the king, if it's asur, it's asur. So why you should be enjoying from something that it's asur? It's like so how can they allow something that's asur to be actually enjoying from it? You enjoy, they allowed you to enjoy.
Number 30. I'm reading number 30. Since the prohibition against
What?
I have a number 30 in footnote 30.
Oh, in the English one?
The English, yeah.
Oh, I know.
Takshiv. Since the prohibition against going beyond one's 2,000 amas is D'Rabbanan, okay? And there is a doubt whether Bein Hashmashos is Shabbos. It's not Shabbos yet. Safek D'Rabbanan L'Kula. Abante? So you're not allowed to do it L'Chatchila. But B'diavad, maybe you did an Isser, maybe not. Even if you did it's only Isser D'Rabbanan, you're allowed to benefit. All right? That's what it is. Now, on Shabbos, by the way, not only can you not benefit, but it's too late to do an Erev. Once it says a Kachavim, it's not just that you can't benefit, it's that it's already Shabbos. The whole concept of Erev Tchumen is before Shabbos starts. So it's not even going to be effective. But Erev Bein Hashamshos, B'diavad, it will be effective. Okay, the next section addresses Emmanuel's question about a person who accepts Shabbos. Okay, here we go.
Except Shabbos Bein Hashamshos, basically.
I'm sorry?
Before Shekia.
Exactly. Kol zek shadan lekibul of Shabbos. We're talking about only if he did not yet accept Shabbos. Al kvar kibul of Shabbos. If you already accepted Shabbos, but tfilas arba shel Shabbos espalim ba'od yom. Davened early. Oishana Baruch Hu, he answered Baruch Hu. If you answer Baruch Hu to a tzibur that's davening early, that's it. You're stuck. It's Shabbos for you. Or if most of the people answer Baruch Hu, even though you didn't answer with them, you become part of the community. If the community accepts Shabbos, you're with them. That's it.
But what if, let's say, some Shabbos already, some.
Okay, that's different.
So
that's
it
different.
Depends to which will you belong to.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you could decide every week where you want to belong.
Are you sure?
I think so, yeah. I don't think you have to take in Shabbos because you usually do. But if you're in a community that everybody accepts it early, I mean, some communities like London London's a big city, but I'm saying,
and
you know, a city that is very north is what I mean, where Shabbos comes in very late.
You have to follow everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Once people accept it, you have to accept it. Also, the last Batsme Kol Shavuos, I skipped the line, sorry. It becomes Shabbos against his will, even if you don't want to. Like we'll explain. Also, the last Batsme Kol Shavuos, okay, my friends, here comes a big chiddush. Exactly. Comes a big chiddush, my friends. From that point on.
This because we adopted.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it or not. We believe in that. Yeah. We believe in that. So here's the thing. Once you accept the Shabbos, whether willingly or against your will, because the community accepted it, at that point, it becomes Shabbos for you like it's actually Shabbos, not like Bein Hashamshos Shabbos, where there's some wiggle room. Yeah, Bein Hashamshos. You could do an Erev Chatzeres, you could do Hatmana, you could do a Shavuos. No. Once you accept Shabbos, you're accepting the full Shabbos. You're not accepting the half Shabbos, you're accepting the full Shabbos. You can't do any of these things. Even for a mitzvah or a great need. If you don't wrap up the soup, you're going to have cold soup. And that's all you have. That's going to be hot. Sorry. Too bad. You want to make an Erev Chatzeres and you very much need it to carry stuff you need. Sorry. Too late. However, listen carefully. But if listen carefully to this argument. If it's a time that you've accepted Shabbos, and maybe your whole community accepted Shabbos, but there are other communities that have not accepted Shabbos because it's not dark yet, the sun hasn't set yet. So then you can tell a goy to do anything for you, not just for a mitzvah, anything. Why? Listen carefully to the Alter Rebbe's argument.
You mean before sunset?
Before sunset. Before sunset. Before sunset. Before sunset. After sunset, everybody accepted Shabbos. Talking about a time that your community accepted it, but there's other cities around, there's other towns, probably not all of them accepted Shabbos yet. So then the Alter Rebbe says, it's not logical that some Jews are doing malacha and you shouldn't be able to tell a guy. You accepted Shabbos for yourself, but you didn't accept it to the extent that you can't tell a guy when there's other Jews still doing malacha. That doesn't make sense. So again, once you accept Shabbos, it's Shabbos for you personally, 100%. Even the Rabbanot you can't do. But in terms of telling a goy, it's different. Because it's not logical that telling a goy should be forbidden when Jews are actually working. It's not right.
I agree, because sorry. Everything we do, intention, very important. If we really have intention to accept Shabbos.
Exactly. But why would I accept Shabbos for telling a goy when Jews are still working?
You need to have that provision.
No, it's understood.
Shabbos, but I'm gonna leave
No, it's understood.
as-
Understood. That's understood. Because if Jews are still working, why would I make it forbidden for me to have a goy do work? Why should a goy be more strict than a Jew? You can actually, we're going to say later, I mean, technically you can't ask a Jew, I'm just realizing. Because if your community already accepted it, you can. But actually, if you accepted Shabbos, we're going to see in a minute, if you personally accepted Shabbos, or even your shul, but there's other shuls in the area that didn't accept the Shabbos, you can tell a Jew to do it. Because you accepted Shabbos for yourself. You didn't accept it for him. For him, it's not Shabbos yet. So you're even allowed to tell him.
No, but it's just not for them. It's just for the person, for the Jew already that accepted Shabbos.
I understand, but I didn't accept it in terms of telling other people. That's the whole point. If it's not Shabbos for them, why would I have a problem with telling them?
The malacha that when you tell another Jew to do something, and it's not Shabbos for him, but it's Shabbos for me, it's my avera, not his avera.
It's not enough there because you didn't accept Shabbos for that point. You didn't accept Shabbos for other people not doing work for you for that purpose.
Because then indeed, like it depends on the season, but it's like some shows.
Some shows do, and some shows don't. And let's say you did, and your neighbors didn't, and you realize that you forgot to turn the light on. Call them in.
You have to be as ambiguous. You can tell them.
100%. Tell them straight.
Even within the same household. Let's say a husband gets went to early and he comes home.
Absolutely.
His wife,
when I was a kid, that was my job. After my mother lit candles already, she would look around. Anything that needed to be done, she would send me to do it. So, okay, now listen carefully. But if it's already half hour before night, then it's possible that every Jewish person, obviously from person, already accepted Shabbos. Also, if there's no Jews to ask, so then the rules of Amira Nachri are the same as it is in Bein Hashamshos. They didn't say you can ask them, but only if it's a case of need, case of a mitzvah, case of financial loss, or whatever. Like he says now, it's a gadol. If it's for a mitzvah or a great need, you're allowed to do work, even complete work by a goy, for the mitzvah doing Hashamshos. Now is the chiddush again. Even though you already accepted the Shabbos and everybody else also accepted the Shabbos, and there's no way out of it. Nevertheless, that which we say that when you accept Shabbos purposefully, it's stricter than Bein Hashamshos, is only as far as you personally doing malacha. What you accept is for you not to do work. But when it comes to having a goy do work, we're not more strict than in Bein Hashamshos, in which you're allowed to ask a goy. So if even when it's actually Shabbos, like Bein Hashamshos, you're allowed to ask a goy. So when you accept Shabbos, You're not accepting that which you would be allowed to do in Bein Hashmashos through a goy.
So, if you have a goy technician that comes to fix something in his house, so when you have to tell him to stop working, like some, you can work until like, you can work during Bein Hashmashos, finish his going.
If it's something that you need for Shabbos, yeah.
Your AC, I don't know, your electric.
Yeah. Bein Hashmashos, yeah.
You can work until like,
Only minish mashes.
Only Bein Hashmashos, correct.
so you can work until almost 7 o'clock.
Yep, that's correct.
And there's no chashish of maritime.
There is a chashash of marasayin, but if you need it for Shabbos, that's more important.
I see all the a lot of Hashmashos, no, there's never brought the union of maritime.
What do you mean? Many times we brought marasayin. Many times we brought marasayin, but we also sometimes said that the Chachamim allowed it for the case of a great need. And that great need is sometimes so great that even it pushes off even marasayin. We had that too. We had the case of Hefsem Meruba, great financial loss, where you can have a goy sit and collect the coins for you by the bridge. You know what I'm saying? I marasayin. Okay, it's marasayin, but that's a great financial loss. The Chachamim were lenient.
Only malacha that you actually need it for Shabbos. You're not to be very allowed to do it.
Right. Either you need for Shabbos or financial loss, where it's not Shabbos need, but it's financial need, or a great need, even if it's not Shabbos need. Like the case of the yard side lamb. It's not a Shabbos thing, it's a yard side thing, but it's a great need. So that's another example. All right, my friends.
So let's say you're in a taxi or Uber or whatever, and you just got this stuff. You're allowed to continue using the Uber even Bein Hashmashos?
That's a good question. Shlichus.
You don't tell them, it just is.
LeAkum wants to know about shlichus. Before I answer that question, I want to discuss shlichus. Shlichus is why Amira Lanachri is aser. But when you accepted Shabbos early, you didn't accept Shabbos to the extent that you can't have a shliach. That's all. So that's why it's allowed. No. I'm answering something else. Yaakov is asking why it's not shlichus. I'm just saying in general, in when you accepted Shabbos, because you didn't accept it for that point. You only accepted it for yourself not to do malacha, not for yourself not to do malacha in a way of shlichus. Okay, Ronnie is asking if you are in a car and the sun has already set and you're in a place where it's not a very comfortable Shabbos situation, no food, no minyan, you're in Overtown. Yeah. So you're in a car and the guy is driving, maybe you can stay there.
Well, that's already kind of the fascist if you're in overtime.
Okay, so you're out there. You're in.
You have to go.
You're in. I don't know where. Somewhere out there. So what's the thing? You let us stay in the car or not? There is a marasayin component also, yes. So the goy is the one driving. It's Amira L'Nachari. It's Bein Hashmashos. It's a great need. It's a Shabbos need. So
it's like a kablan. It's an Uber, so it's like.
It's a kablan. Sure, it's a kablan. Uber's a kablan for sure. So I don't know if you need a kablan in Bein Hashmashos. When we gave you this heter about Bein Hashmashos, it doesn't say he has to be a kablan. Bein Hashmashos is a heter. I think it's okay. Not just I think. I saw that it's okay. But the point is that you have to do it in a way that you minimize maras ayin. That means to say, get out, far away enough that people shouldn't see you. As much as possible, minimize the marasayim.
So you don't be allowed to continue with the Bein Hashmashos.
Bein Hashmashos, yeah. Bein Hashmashos. Yeah. I actually gave somebody a heta like this many years ago when she was discharged from the hospital and she was in a very bad area. It was right before Shabbos. Told her to get into a taxi. I don't know if they had Uber back then. It was many years ago. To get into a taxi, and as long as it was Bein Hashmashos.
But with a taxi, it's not a straight fee. You have to be paying according to how much you travel.
I don't remember how we did it. If she paid in advance. I don't remember. So that's what it is. Only thing is.
And from your side, is not considered partnership?
Sitting in a taxi, sitting in a car, is not really Chil Shabbos. Moshe discussed that because you're not really doing anything, even though your weight is causing, Okay, so you get them to open the door. You get them to open the door for sure. But I'm saying, even though your weight causes an extra gas, but Lamaisa, he's the one pushing the gas. Your weight is it's there, you know what I'm saying? But you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there. Moshe does not consider an Isser. I mean, Moshe allows, for example, to go to the hospital with your wife who's having a baby. She doesn't actually need you. It's emotional support. But it's not a real malacha, so he allows it. Okay. We are going to move on to 263. And then I will go over the handout that I gave and discuss anything that I didn't cover yet. (263) Yud Aleph in the Alter Rebbe. Yud Aleph is actually a very long.
Can you send with all this Simanim exactly which season we did on every Siman?
Beli Neder. Beli Neder. I'll try to do that. Yep. Okay. I'm going to start from Aval Eino Lahadlik. It's the middle of a paragraph. The middle of Yud Aleph. Mamish in the middle of Yud Aleph. It's a very long one.
And 263?
263 Yud Aleph, yeah. Okay, so here's what we're discussing in Yud Aleph. We have a situation. A woman has to go to the mikveh on Friday night. So what should she do? She wants to light candles in the house. She wants to prepare for her mikveh night in the mikveh. So she has a problem because if she lights early, she's already accepted Shabbos. How's she going to prepare in the mikveh? If she goes to the mikveh to prepare, there's nowhere to light in the mikveh. I mean, it's like you can't light in the mikveh. It's a situation. What do you do? That's part of this discussion. How's she going to light candles? So that's one option. The husband can light, but women don't like giving up the mitzvah of Shabbos candles so easily.
Is she allowed to light Hashmashos?
No, never. Never. The whole thing in 261 was only the Rabbanan. Never light, she can't light. So the point is that one option is for her to light and make a condition that she's not accepting Shabbos until later.
This condition actually
if you need to. Shas Chak. No, not on a preferred basis.
Let me ask you, let's say we said, usually it's very common that a woman daven mincha before she lights candle.
Yeah.
But if the time is not, she should daven mincha after candle, she has to make a condition. Because if she lights candles, mincha Paul is not shayach. So she has to make conditions that I will daven mincha after candle, or I'm not accepting Shabbos.
I think she would have to make that condition, yes. Because otherwise, when a woman lights candles, she accepts Shabbos. Once a person accepts Shabbos, they can't have mincha. It's too late.
So the condition is she lights, but she's not accepting.
Correct.
After,
Yeah.
But you get allowed to just double mincha, you're not allowed to do other malachos.
It's not Shabbos, it's not Shabbos. But the Alter Rebbe adds something very important, by the way. Other poskim don't hold of it. Alter Rebbe adds that somebody has to accept Shabbos a short time after she lights. Even if she makes a condition, but somebody has to accept Shabbos a short time after she lights in order for them to be considered Shabbos candles. If you light,
Someone else?
it could be her, it could be somebody else. In other words, let's say she's going to light, then she's going to have a mincha. But she's going to accept Shabbos right away afterwards, a few minutes. No, that's okay, because that's close. But if she's going to accept Shabbos now, she's going to get an Uber, she's going to go to the mikveh, she's going to prepare for an hour, and nobody accepted Shabbos, she obviously didn't, and if nobody else does, then it doesn't look like Shabbos candles, because there's no connection between those candles and Shabbos. Alter Rebbe says somebody has to accept Shabbos soon after she lights. I think the Tzitz Shulchan says soon means 10 minutes.
When you're saying the last is someone, not her.
Either her, if she accepts it within 10 minutes, or somebody else in the household within 10 minutes.
According to this, she can have a mincha.
If she makes a condition.
An adult.
I'm not sure about that.
Without the Rabbi, I mentioned
Not sure
the condition,
about
but
that.
according to what you're saying, there's no condition involved.
Yes, there is a condition. In addition to making a condition, besides that, which is not the best, and only Shas and Chak, also somebody has to accept Shabbos within a few minutes. Separate thing. Separate.
And on which Simon they're not going
Reish Samach Gimel. It's in this
to
sif.
do now.
I'm not going to read it now because it's not really what we're learning. But it's an interesting thing. Even when a man lights, it's the same thing, by the way. Men don't have the minhag that we accept Shabbos when we light. Women have that minhag.
Like going to the car and back to school.
Exactly. But somebody has to accept Shabbos within 10 minutes. You want to go drive to shul, fine. But within 10 minutes, you have to accept Shabbos.
The candles,
What if there's
only
nobody?
Shabbos candles.
Then don't
What if
light.
what if you're going with all men? And they're all going to shul. There's no one to accept that.
Well, within 10 minutes, you should accept. Drive to shul. Accept Shabbos.
One
right away.
Is that the Rabbi
One walk.
mentioned
One
10
walks.
minutes or?
No, he says samoch. He says samoch. The Tzitz HaShulchan says 10 minutes.
The woman that lights and goes mikvah prepares for an hour. That's
Somebody
all
else
she
has to
to
accept.
make the-
Somebody else has to accept in that time.
You could not take on Shabbos for an hour.
Well, you can accept. You can light Shabbos candles within the Plag HaMincha time. So it's like an hour and a quarter. But like the Alter Rebbe says, somebody says accept Shabbos. I had this situation in the summertime this year when I was going to. My wife was away, so I wanted to light in the house and then drive to shul and that's what I want to do. Light, drive to shul, and fine. But the problem is the time of driving to shul and davening mincha. It wasn't practical. It wasn't practical to light and drive and daven mincha all within 10 minutes. It wouldn't happen.
So you have to have a mincha before you accept some Shabbos.
I ended up davening mincha before. If I would have been more organized, no, even that wouldn't have happened. I was going to say I could have walked, but still, by the time I walked and davened mincha, it's too late. Yeah. In that situation, I ended up davening bi'echidus. That was the only way that worked. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, אבל אין לה להדליק לכתחילה, קודם לכתה בלי ברכה. ובבואי מהטביל מחשיכה או בחופה תפרס ידיה לפני הנרס. לברך עוד קודם שתינו לאירון. Let's say she has another eitzah. She's going to light before she goes without a bracha. When she comes back at night, she'll cover the candles with her hands Then she'll take her hands away. Oh, she'll make a bracha. Another option, she'll come back, it'll be after Shkia, she'll tell a goy to light. And then after the goy lights, she'll cover it with her hands, like women do, and then she'll say bracha. So she won't get her not after the bracha. How do you say a bracha that Hashem commanded us to light? And they're already lit by somebody else. Either from before or through the goy. Listen here. Nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says, B'diavad, sheshachacha, lo hidlika, koydem bein hashmashos. B'diavad, if she forgot and she didn't light in bein hashmashos, v'nizker bein hashmashos, and she remembered in bein hashmashos, yesh lahatila letzaves lenochi lahadlik. We can allow her to tell a goy to light, and then she can make a bracha before she benefits. Now, how do you make a bracha on the goys doing the mitzvah? The goy does it and you make a bracha? How does that make sense? Alter explains. Listen carefully. The kivan sheikar mitzvah hadlakas ner Shabbos ein hadlaka. Because the main mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles is not only the lighting, but the benefiting from the light. That's the main mitzvah. But the lighting is preparing for this mitzvah. That's what we make the bracha on the lighting, because it's preparing it. This one that forgot and didn't make a bracha in the beginning, she could make a bracha before the main mitzvah, before the hana. The main mitzvah is the pleasure anyway, is the benefit from it. So you'll make a mitzvah before the benefit, even though it's not before the beginning of the action, which is the lighting, because you can't, because you're not the one doing it, God is doing it, but at least before the benefit. Nevertheless, says the Alter Rebbe, there's only a heter to light one candle on the table, which is the main mitzvah. Mitzvahs, ner Shabbos, ner ish ubeisai. Just like on Chanukah, technically, you're yotze with one candle. Chanukah doesn't have to have one candle every night for the entire house. Mahadrin does one per person. Mahadrin and a Mahadrin. Oh, you add. Beautiful. But the main mitzvah is one candle per house, per night. So the main mitzvah of Shabbos candle is one candle. The whole thing of two or adding for every family member, it's all wonderful. But it's not the main mitzvah. So when it comes to allowing a goy to do it, you're only allowed to do what you need for the main mitzvah, which is the one candle. Just one. What if you already have plenty of light? The electric lights are on. You're not going to trip over anything. You're not going to eat in darkness. You got light. Nevertheless, the women are very careful about this bracha. You tell them that they're not going to have a bracha on Shabbos candles. And they're not going to be able to have a special Shabbos candle. They're just going to have the electric lights. They're going to be very upset. God lists like a great need. They allow for a Shvus ben Hashmashos, like was explained. So the bottom line is, according to the Alter Rebbe, if the sun is already set, a goy can light one candle, and the Jewish woman can make the bracha on that candle. She covers it, and she makes the bracha.
Different bracha.
Actually, it's a different bracha, yeah. Alter Rebbe says in the footnote, in the Kuntras Achron, she shouldn't say V'tzivanu lehadlik, but V'tzivanu al hadlokas haner. She shouldn't say to light, because she's not doing the action of lighting. She should say al hadlokas haner, on the lighting of the candle. which is what you say when you're not doing it personally, or when it could be done by somebody, not yourself. I mean, it's complicated, but sometimes you say a bracha la'asos, and sometimes you say al. Like for example, al natilas yadayim, right? But then other brachas you say lehaniach tefillin. You don't say al hanachas tefillin. So it's very complicated. What's what and when's when. But here, where you're not doing the action yourself, Alter Rebbe said better to say al hadlakas haner, on the lighting of the candle. Okay, for your information, the Mishnah Berurah has 2 points in which he argues with the Alter Rebbe on this. First of all, he sides with the Achronim that say that a woman should not make the bracha on this lighting because she's not the one lighting. She's not doing the action. That's number one. On the other hand, the Mishnah Berurah is more lenient in terms of allowing more than one candle if it's dark. So not just one for the mitzvah, but additional ones if it's a big room and it's going to be uncomfortable to sit in near darkness. The truth is, it could be the Alter Rebbe agrees. He just doesn't talk about that case. He talks about a case where one candle is enough. You can't do extra for the minhag. But maybe if you need extra for the light to eat like a mensch, maybe you would allow it too. It's not clear. All right, my friends, let us move on to the handout that I gave and discuss if anything needs to be discussed.
Are we going to have a menu?
That is a good question.
I don't.
8.
I did not.
I did not.
Check it.
What about Joseph Goldglance? Let's see if Joseph can pitch in here. Tom, you need to leave?
I'll wait for it until you have a menu, of course. I'm like,
Let me see. I'm going to text Rafael also, said he's running late. Maybe he could just come from Amira. Okay, let's see what they say. Okay, notes on Simanim 261, 263, here goes. In Bein Hashamshos, all Shavuos are forbidden except if it's for a mitzvah, great need, or great loss. That we learned, yeah? For example, Erev Chatzeres, which is considered a mitzvah. And I quote the source for that. In Alter Rebbe 366:18, mitzvah lach za'acha Erev Chatzeres kadesh level tatal be'eser. It's a mitzvah to try to get Erev Chatzeres so people shouldn't end up carrying improperly. B, hatmana, in something that myself and separating the minor exceptions, and maybe then no problem. Separating chal forbidden chutz la'aretz. V'loch shel gufa carrying less than 4 hours making erev tchumen, and musam hang from a soft plant or all exceptions that are also in Bein Hashamshos regardless. Okay, so we already discussed loch shel gufa. We discussed erev tchumen. We didn't discuss carrying less than 4 hours, and we didn't discuss removing something hanging from a soft plant. So let me explain. You know, when you carry less than 4 amas on Shabbos, there is in a public place, there's no prohibition. You know that, yeah? However, if you carry less than 4 amas and then you stop, and then you carry another time less than 4 amas and then you stop, that is forbidden by rabbinic law. They only allowed it in a case where you're traveling on Friday afternoon, you have your wallet, and if they didn't allow it, you might end up just carrying regular. So in that case, they said better to do it that way. But if it's not that situation, you're not allowed to do that because it's very close to a Torah violation. You might forget and not stop. Another example is if something is hanging from like a, not quite a tree, but something that's a little bit softer than that, you're not allowed to remove it on Shabbos or even in Bein Hashamshos because you may end up ripping that thing. So that's a very close. The bottom line is any malacha d'Rabbanan, any rabbinic prohibition which is close to a Torah violation is not allowed even in Bein Hashmashos. Okay, one may tell a guy even to do a malacha min ha-Torah, again for a great need or financial loss, or mitzvah like we said. Travel, that's what I just addressed with Ronnie, like I mentioned. Okay, Moshe says Bein Hashmashos lasted 40 minutes after Shkia in the U.S. I cannot say exactly what the Chabad Shita is on that, but it does seem to be smaller than that, based on the times of Chabad.org. Okay, Safek Bein Hashmashos or night is also to ask a goy. This is a chiddush. What we learned in the Alter Rebbe is Safek day, Safek Bein Hashmashos. You cannot do malacha yourself, because maybe it's already night, or maybe it's already after Shkia. What if it's Safek Bein Hashmashos, Safek night? Understand? You're not sure if it's Bein Hashmashos still. It's kind of dark, not totally dark. Can you still ask a goy? The Magen says no, because it's your problem, the fact that you don't know. Like we said before, it's a suffix that's a result of your lack of knowledge. That's your problem. That's not a real suffix. Okay, if one accepts the Shabbos, one may not personally do any shvusim according to the Alter Rebbe, but may ask a Jew who has not accepted Shabbos. I'm in number 4 in the handout that I gave. May ask a Jew who has not accepted Shabbos how to go to do malacha for him, even if there is no mitzvah. This I explained. That when you accept Shabbos willingly, you're only accepting it for yourself, but not to ask others malacha for you. Mishnah Berurah says, "Menachem are leading in this case and allow one to do shvusim. They hold that one need only refrain if he was part of a tzibur that accepted Shabbos." Okay, some hold when you accept Shabbos early, you don't accept any of the prohibitions, any of the shvusim that are permitted in Bein Hashmashos. Only if you accept it as part of a community, that's when it's stricter than Bein Hashmashos. You can choose. Every week you can choose. Yeah. You can choose which one you want to be. Yeah, you can choose. If it is a town that everyone has already accepted Shabbos, one may not personally do any shvusim. In addition, one may not ask any Jew to do any malacha. And one may only ask a non-Jew to do malacha, even Rabbanan, if it's for a mitzvah. It basically becomes stricter in terms of asking another Jew, and even in terms of asking a non-Jew, when it's only something you accepted personally, you can ask him even if there's no mitzvah or anything. But once the time that everybody accepted Shabbos, then you can only ask him for a mitzvah. Okay, I made a chart here. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to read it all. Or should I? I don't have to read it all. I think it's pretty self-evident, but if there's any questions, you can ask me. One thing I do want to discuss, and that is Bein Hashmashos after Shabbos. Everything we learned today was about the Bein Hashmashos in the beginning of Shabbos. What about the Bein Hashmashos at the end of Shabbos? It's a suffix. Could be Shabbos in the beginning of Shabbos too. Why? Well, I mean, you for yourself, yeah, but what about for a guy? What about a Shavuos? Well, you're supposed to add before also, and you're still allowed to do a Shavuos. You add, but you still can do a Shavuos. It's actually a question, by the way. It's actually a question.
I think it would be the same as the before. I think it would be as much as before and the same.
Why? It doesn't feel right. Once you're in your Shabbos clothes and you're in shul, it's like...
You're going from all you adding up, or being on Shabbos and...
It's like a chazaka. It's the chazaka is it's already Shabbos.
Yeah.
To start Shabbos, you're coming from the weekdays, so not as strict. Coming from Shabbos. The truth is that some people say that. Some people say that. It's machlokes. It's machlekes, but the Alter Paskins, the main halacha is that it's allowed.
Same as before.
Same as before.
Equal, but like Masha.
Exactly. The main halacha. It's machlekes, so it's room to be strict. It's better to be strict. Some people are strict. But me'ikar adin, if it's for a mitzvah, or a great financial loss, or a great need, you can do even a derabanan yourself, and you could do through a goy, even a deraisa, for those things. So that's a pretty significant heter.
Well, why do you say ask a goy lahavdil to do any malacha? What does lahavdil mean here?
I mean, I'm contrasting with the previous case. Ask a Jew to do a malacha.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't want to compare the two, so that's why I wrote the havdil.
Okay.
Okay. Number 6. It's only been for Gentile to light Shabbos candles for a Jew, but if necessary, it may be done. Only one candle make the bracha of al hadlakas haner. The Alter Rebbe says. That already explained. The Mishnah Berurah says that one may not make a bracha, and that one may have the goy light more than one candle if necessary, for it pains him to be in darkness with only one candle. Magen Ram says there's no cause of Tosfos Shabbos after Shabbos. This is an interesting point, by the way. Before Shabbos, we know you could add up to an hour and a quarter. What about after Shabbos? Now, we know there's different times for when Shabbos is over, right? The Bein holds a much later Zman. Okay, fine. But beyond all of that, if you want to accept to take in Shabbos late, you want to take it out late, not take it, you want to take it out late. Can you take it out later? The Magen Avraham holds there's no such thing. I mean, you don't have to do work. Obviously, nobody's forcing you to do work. But he says there's no mitzvah in not working later. Because the beginning of Shabbos, there's an opinion. Rabbi Yehuda says that Plaga Mincha is already like night. So that time is like kind of in between. You can accept it early. But after it's over, it's over. He says there's no mila, there's no advantage to keeping it later. Yes.
Regarding what the previous say, the woman that should tell the girl to light only one candle.
Yeah.
What if there's 2 women in the same house and each one has to light candle? So each one should tell the girl to light one candle?
Yeah. Because for each one is very important. We said the whole heter here is if there's no light, you have a heter because you need the light. But if there is already light, the whole heter is because they feel very strongly that they want to light Shabbos candles. Each one feels that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why. Okay, now number 8 addresses something.
I think go back to what we discussed.
Yeah.
So, the point is who decides when it ends. The female.
Yeah, so as long as it's an opinion, it's a good thing to be strict, fine. But I'm saying, let's say it's a time that everybody agrees Shabbos is over. The 3 stars are out, no question about it. There's no any opinion that says that the stars are not out. The Magen Avraham says at that point there is no extra mitzvah to keep Shabbos. It's not like before Shabbos when you say it's a mitzvah to take it in early, extra credit, whatever. He says that doesn't apply to after Shabbos because the whole thing of extra credit applies when in the beginning of Shabbos there's a time that's in between. So in the after Shabbos there's no time that's connected to the previous day anymore. So actually, this is a question. So how are you allowed to say ritzei? How are you allowed to say ritzei in benching? If you bench at night, you had the shalosh, and you bench at night, but it's not Shabbos anymore. There's no point in keeping Shabbos at that point. Let's say you schlepped it out all the way till it's for sure not Shabbos. So Magen Avraham says the reason is because you're benching on a meal that you had during Shabbos. So you can thank Hashem for Shabbos because the meal was connected to Shabbos, even though it's not Shabbos now. Same thing with Chodesh, exactly.
Usually told by the Bein.
Yep.
One Shabbos for Bein.
Can you not follow Bein Tam? So the best thing is when you take on to follow Bein Tam, to make a condition which is mean that I'm only taking it on the li neder. If I ever need to not keep it, I should not have to keep it. That way, if you're in a situation, there's a flight, you have to leave right away or whatever, it's not so bad. If you didn't do that, you should probably do Atar Sandarim. Otherwise, it's a question. So actually, the Mishnah Berurah discusses this question. Let's say it happened that Chas v'Shalom, a person did malacha in Bein Hashmashos. So, no, in the beginning of Shabbos, by mistake, whatever, he forgot, whatever. He did malacha. So I think it's the Magen Avram says that it's also to benefit from it.
Him or everybody else?
Whatever the rules are, if it's on purpose, by accident. I mean, we're strict. Everybody else, even by accident, we are strict. Nobody can enter. However, because it's only a doubt, Mishnah Berurah says, really it's a machlokes when Shabbos comes in. Because Rabbeinu Tam has a different shkia, right? Rabbeinu Tam shkia is much later. So the Mishnah Berurah says, if it's only shkia according to the Goinim, and even shkia of the Goinim is only Bein Hashmashos, so it's like so he says you can benefit from work that's done at that time. But obviously you can't do work at that time, Chas v'Shalom. But if it's already done, Mishnah Berurah says you get benefit. Comes along Rav Shlomo Zalman and says, not anymore. That was at a time when it wasn't clear who we follow in halacha. Rabbeinu Tam has a later time, the Goinim have an earlier time. Nowadays, the accepted halacha in Klal Yisrael, certainly Ashkenazim, is the Goinim. And most people don't keep Rabbeinu Tam. Most people, Shabbos is over, they get into their car, they drive off. So how are you going to rely on Rabbeinu Tam when you don't worry about him in terms of doing a Torah violation of driving? So he says you can't use Rabbeinu Tam. It's not a doubt anymore. Unless you're in a community that actually follows Rabbeinu Tam, follows it, strict, keeps it. So then you could say maybe suffix, a doubt. But if you, either personally or your community, is lenient, not like Rabbeinu Tam, then you can't use his opinion for any leniency. Right? If you don't follow him to be strict, you can't follow him to be lenient. That's the point. On the other hand, if a goy did malacha in Bein Hashmashos for a Jew in a way that he wasn't allowed, because it wasn't a mitzvah, it wasn't a great financial loss, it wasn't a great need, but he did it anyway, but it was Bein Hashmashos. So the Mishnah Berurah brings opinions that say that you're allowed to benefit. Because it's only Bein Hashmashos, it's only a goy. Okay, you shouldn't have done it because you didn't have a heter, but it's a doubt. So this.
What about, I don't want to public iron, but for me, Shabbos, but it's on Shabbos that we're going to.
So what's the Mar sign?
I'm not according to who is God, so is doing malacha. You're not afraid?
Afraid of what?
That
What's your question?
if you're keeping Rabbeinu Tam and you're going to do malacha,
If you're keeping, you're not going to do. What do you mean?
Rabbeinu Tam is later.
Yeah.
No,
there's no Jewish community in the world that does malacha after Shkia. Today, I never heard of such a community. You heard of such a community? I don't think it exists.
What I understood from what he was trying to
But
say.
then the ones who go to Rabbeinu Tam.
They go to Rabbeinu Tam to be strict, not to be lenient.
But by then it's much later.
They take it out much later. They don't take it in later.
Like when you're coming back from
Mincha, but they don't do work. They're not lighting candles then. I never heard of a community that. Never heard of it.
I'm going to piggyback on this question regarding Mar sign. Let's say for me it started Shabbos, and so you didn't start Shabbos yet.
Why not?
because it's a Shabbos for him. I started Shabbos early.
Okay, so that's not my sign. Everybody knows Shabbos
But
early,
when the
Shabbos
person comes,
late.
he sees that he's turning on the lights. He says, oh.
What do you mean? The sun is shining. It's a big deal. Everybody knows. Some take it in early, some take it in late.
Sure, with the cross, you come back there, people come from.
Okay, but everybody knows. Everybody knows that it's not Shabbos, it's extra Shabbos.
It's a weird feeling when you're doing that. It's a very weird
No,
feeling.
for them, like it's only one show, the rest.
Yeah.
I'm really early. They're coming back already after night.
Yeah. After Shabbos, when we ask someone who made adultery to work for them, even though they didn't yet. Okay, it's good to know. All right. The plan tomorrow is to do 275 and as much of 276 as we get to.
275 and 276.
Yeah, I don't think we'll finish both, but we'll hopefully start at least 276. In case you want to know what they're about.
We have a million or otherwise?
Let me see what Joseph and Raphael say.
The Kolo and the
Raphael says
30 is,
only if we still need him.
And the Kolo and the meat, they have
10:30 at the issue.
I don't think we're gonna have a million, even with the flows only 9. Sorry.
Huh?
I don't think we're gonna have a million, no.
It's all women. All women.
The hen house over there.
Really, what's going on?
Chinese.
I didn't check them out. I can hear them. I can hear them. I can hear them.
Women's Chinese auction. Kids, women, girls.
Yeah, I hear the hammer. I hear the hammer. And the cheese?
Yeah.
So Satmars can, but we can't relative Reb Shlomo Zalman's Psak. I guess, yeah, according to the Satmars, yeah. I believe they go Benatams for Mincha and all that. So I guess they could, yes, based on the Mishnah Berurah, yes.
Yes.
No, I don't think there's a million tonight, no. All right, have a good night, everybody. We'll continue 275, 276 tomorrow. לא שומע. יורם, מה אתה אומר?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. All the best.